first take from the exit polls, plus reports from polling places where the lines have been very long. And we'll have analysis from Karl Rove and Michael Barone. And as always, our expanded all-star panel right here, right now. Welcome to Fox News election headquarters in New York. I'm Britt Hume. It has been almost 21 months since Barack Obama declared his candidacy for president, and it has been 54 years since John McCain began his service to his country. Today, one of those journeys will lead to the ultimate American political prize. A record turnout has been forecast to end the longest campaign season in U.S. history. Many of the people who voted participated in exit polls, and Megyn Kelly is here with a look at what we have learned so far. Hi, Megyn.
Hi there, Britt. Well, there is good news for both sides tonight, but some very hopeful signs for Barack Obama. First, though, a caveat. The polls are still open. It is still early. Obama tends to poll better than he performs, and some of the early voting may be underrepresented. So all those caveats in mind, take these numbers with a grain of salt. What is on the minds of the voters? Well, I have my trusty launch pad to show you. Check out this technology, Britt. The economy is on their mind. Most voters say that this is the most important issue easily facing the country. They are siding with Barack Obama, 56% to McCain's 42%. In fact, a whopping 82% say they're worried about the impact of the economic crisis on their families, and 42% say their families' finances are worse than 4 years ago. 76% say the country's on the wrong track altogether. Look at the change voters. This has been Barack Obama's theme throughout, and those who want it say he is the man to bring it. Siding with Barack Obama, 91% to McCain's 8%. But let's get down to the demographics. The young and the new voters, both key to Obama's strategy. And are they showing up? We'll take a look. Young voters are 69% coming out voting for Barack Obama, 28% coming out voting for John McCain. So far, it looks like the young voters making up roughly the same percentage of the electorate as they did in the past couple of elections. But again, that may be underrepresented given the caveat I gave you earlier. Now take a look at the new voters on the national level. They are siding with Barack Obama so far, 72%. To John McCain's 27%. 6 in 10 new voters are under the age of 30. 20% of new voters so far are African American. Now, those are the national numbers. Let's take a closer look at the figures in Virginia. There, too, the voters are showing up. But will they help Barack Obama turn a red state blue? Take a look at the new numbers. New voters in Virginia, 63% going for Barack Obama, 36% for John McCain. Now, in Indiana, an early poll closing tonight, they have not voted for a Democratic presidential candidate in 4 decades. If Obama wants to change that, he needs the independents, and take a look at the numbers. So far, he's doing well with them. 4 years ago, well, he's getting 56, John McCain 41. 4 years ago, independents in Indiana sided with George Bush. On to Ohio. Take a look at these numbers. You can see this state, back in the primaries, went for Hillary Clinton. So are her supporters backing Barack Obama tonight? Well, it appears so. 82% of them voting for him, 16% for John McCain, but we don't know how many of her supporters decided simply to stay home. McCain is capturing those voters who are looking for experience in their president. 93% of those voters picked him. Just 7% picked Barack Obama. But again, Britt, got to stress, these polls may be slightly off, given the caveats that we've mentioned earlier. So you got to keep an open mind and stay tuned as we get more data in. Brett?
Yes, Megyn, we all lived through 4 years ago, and we thought we had President Kerry at this very hour, sitting in this very place. And, well, we know how that turned out.
Yeah.
We have Fox team coverage, meanwhile, of the candidates on Election Day. Carl Cameron is with the McCain campaign in Phoenix. And Major Garrett is in Chicago tonight, where Obama plans a huge celebration in Grant Park. Hi, Major.
Well, good evening, Brett. We don't know if 1 million people are going to show up as Mayor Daley has predicted. What we do know is this: at 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock Eastern, rather, the line started forming, and people won't be let in here to Grant Park until 9:30 Eastern time. What's been happening behind the scenes of the Obama campaign? Well, this is what I can tell you, Brett. For example, this morning in New Hampshire, they began to detect that turnout was a bit softer than they expected, so they got their volunteers on the phones, they got folks out in cars, and they boosted the turnout in New Hampshire in the closing hours, particularly among the college kids at the many campuses there. In the state of Missouri, a very tough battleground state, the Obama campaign believes that 80% of registered voters could show up. They've been mobilizing their volunteers in the cities of St. Louis and Kansas City, plus the surrounding suburbs, even asking Obama volunteers around the country to use a special computer software that basically turns their home into a mini phone bank, calling into Missouri to move voters to the polls. One last point, North Carolina. African-American turnout in key precincts a bit soft this morning. Well, the Obama campaign mobilizing volunteers to boost that in the closing hours in North Carolina. All three states very important to the Obama electoral map. And for himself, Barack Obama worried about his personal vote and that of his get-out-the-vote efforts in Indiana. This morning in his Hyde Park neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, daughter Malia at his side. The two shared a mini hug as the nation decided in full whether it would embrace Obama's brand of change. Before boarding his campaign plane for one last stop in Indiana, Obama described his mood.
I feel great. It was fun to have a chance to vote with my daughters. That was a big deal. I feel really good.
In Indianapolis, Obama worked the phones at a United Auto Workers office. Internal Democratic polls show Obama trails by as many as 5 points in the Hoosier state.
I think we can win Indiana. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in Indiana.
Obama covets Indiana as proof of his ability to win in the reddest of Bush states. That's why he made get-out-the-vote efforts personal.
Did you vote for me? I like that. Well, I just wanted to get on the phone real quick and just say thank you. All right. And tell all your friends who haven't voted yet, tell them to go out and vote.
At his last rally of the 21-month campaign, Obama met an estimated 90,000 supporters in Northern Virginia. Big turnout there could give Obama the Old Dominion and pave his way to the White House.
Sometimes when I'm down, you've lifted me up. You've filled me with new hope for our future. And you've reminded me about what makes America so special.
Before leaving the stage, Obama asked the question at the heart of his quest for change and vital to his Election Day get-out-the-vote efforts.
Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go?
Obama's been fired up, as of his volunteers, for months. Tonight, in a few hours, we'll find out if the country is too.
All right, Major, thanks very much. Now let's go to our chief political correspondent, Carl Cameron, who is with the McCain campaign tonight in Phoenix. Carl, how do things look out there?
Well, they're a bit anxious here, Britt. Not downbeat per se, but the truth of the matter is there are no political illusions about how stiff the headwinds here are for the McCain campaign. Senator McCain himself has long said this would be a long night in what for him has been a very long battle. After 26 hours of non-stop cross-country campaigning, the GOP presidential nominee cast a ballot for himself in his hometown of Phoenix. But no rest for the road-weary. Straight Talk Air went straight back to the trail for additional stops defending southwestern battleground states with appearances in New Mexico and Colorado.
I feel the momentum, I feel it, and you feel it, and we're going to win this election. We're going to win it. And we're going to win it right here in the state of Colorado.
From the moment Sarah Palin joined the ticket at the end of August through the GOP convention and into mid-September, John McCain surged and gained the lead in national polls and on the Electoral College map. Then came the financial crisis. Obama recaptured the lead. But in the last 3 weeks, 2 things happened.
Joe the plumber, Joe.
Joe the plumber Wurzelbacher became the personification of McCain's attack on Obama's economic plan, calling it socialism. And Democratic running mate Joe Biden suggested that if Obama's elected because of his inexperience, U.S. adversaries will test his mettle.
I've been tested and I've passed the test.
Doubts about Obama's tax and spending plans and experience, along with enthusiasm over running mate Sarah Palin, aides say, helped McCain close the gap in the last 2 weeks. The final test? Whether the GOP's winning 72-hour final ground push of years past can best Obama this time.
I want to say it's great for you to turn out today. We've got to turn out our vote, and we're going to be up late tonight. And, you know, some of the pundits have written us off, but I want to tell you, they may not know it, but the Mac is back.
Lots of optimism here, Britt, and yet behind the scenes some tension. And given the tough economic climate, the president's unpopularity, and the R after Arizona Senator John McCain's name, you can understand why his aides say if he pulls it off tonight, it'll be the biggest political comeback in generations.
Well, he's already made one great big one this year, Carl. We all remember that. We all thought he was dead then, too. So we have a lot to wait for tonight, Carl. Thanks very much. The first woman on the Republican ticket, Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, cast her ballot today in her hometown of Wasilla, less than a day after the state personnel board cleared her of ethics charges. Correspondent Dan Springer is live from Anchorage with that story. Hi, Dan.
Yeah, Britt, Governor Palin was on the ground here in her home state of Alaska for less than 5 hours, just long enough to get into some comfortable clothes and some warm clothes, by the way, and also cast that historic vote. As you mentioned, the first Republican woman ever to appear on a presidential ballot. She showed up at the polling place this morning wearing blue jeans and a casual brown jacket with her name on the front. She appeared relaxed and even energized as she greeted some people at the polling place with hugs. One woman got a kiss on the cheek. Later at a coffee shop, she shouted to an old friend, quote, "Tell your hubby I said hi." She was clearly moved to be back in her hometown of Wasilla in the council chambers where her political career began, casting a vote for the ages.
This is an historical event. No matter which ticket, of course, prevails. And there, too, it bodes so well for the progress that our great country is making. And barriers, of course, being removed and glass ceilings being shattered.
Governor Palin had another big reason to smile. Late yesterday, a second investigation into so-called Troopergate cleared her of any wrongdoing. An earlier investigation directed by an Obama supporter in the state legislature concluded Palin had abused her power by trying to get her ex-brother-in-law fired, a state trooper. But the personnel board has the final say on whether a sitting governor violated the state's ethics law, and its independent investigator found she had not done anything wrong. After her brief stop here in Alaska, she has boarded a plane. Now she is in the air heading back to Phoenix so she can be in Phoenix with her running mate John McCain for the return tonight. And she said, as far as whether she's confident or not, she said, "I hope, pray, believe I will make vice president in the morning." Britt?
Okay, Dan, thank you. Palin's counterpart, the Democrat Joe Biden, voted a few hours earlier. He cast his ballot in Wilmington, Delaware. He was accompanied by his wife, daughter, and mother. Biden told reporters he was feeling good, but not ready to make any acceptance speeches just yet.
It's so presumptuous as a candidate, you know, to even let yourself think that you know what the voters are going to do. I know that sounds stupid, but I really mean it.
Later in our program, the balance of power in Congress. We'll get a preview of what to expect tonight. And up next, Chris Wallace and Karl Rove discuss what the campaigns will be looking at this evening.
Everyone's talking about Madagascar 2.
It's gonna bring the house down.
It's pretty amazing.
It's the best ever!
It's uproariously funny and even better than the first.
90, the world's first DSLR to shoot HD movie. Bringing
as a reset moment in the country for leadership.
If you want to look, and Gene mentioned earlier the grasping of the 21st century, if you really want to try to put this in some sort of historical possibility, and I think Joe Scarborough's point is well taken, who knows what levels of optimism would be like 4 years from now, right, no matter what the outcome here of this election tonight is. But let's say that this is the kind of transitional thing that many people do expect it to be, and places it in history alongside 1932, maybe 1904, certainly 1864 and 1860, those votes. There will be some voters coming of age this year who voted this year for the first time, who were born in 1990, who will be able to be interviewed by our successors, or, you know, maybe some of us who will hang around long enough. Probably Rachel's the only one who's got a shot at it, I think, on this table. But somebody will be interviewing these old timers in the year 2100 about the day they voted for Obama in 2008. It's absolutely, you know, by the actuarial tables, almost insisted upon that somebody voting today for the first time would be able to recount this story in the 22nd century, and that sort of backwards and forwards history is maybe in play.
I think people know that's coming, and
yeah,
that's why I cannot imagine a person not voting today.
They hope that's good, or they see a reasonable expectation that something of that importance is coming.
I have one in my household. He's 18 years old.
Perfect
Won't
time.
say who he voted for, but he voted, sent me a text message just now.
There it is.
And isn't it interesting that, you know, we'll talk a lot about the African-American vote, we'll talk about the prospect for history if Obama were to win tonight, but isn't it interesting, Gene, that for an older generation of Americans, they will look at through the historical prism of their lives, and yet for a lot of younger people are not seeing Obama in a racial context at all. Rather, they are seeing him in a way as somebody who speaks for them in a way that a leader has not in the course of their lives.
That's true. And for younger generations, race, it's not that it is entirely devoid of meaning. I think it just has a very different meaning from what it has for our generation. It's not as, some things are just not as big a deal. Other things are a really big deal. But it's very different for younger people. And a lot of them do see him as, I suspect, this cool guy who speaks very well and engages them in the possibilities of the future, and that's really what they want to hear. They hear so much that is depressing about what's happening to this country and how their lives are not going to be as good as our lives in terms of material things, and they want to know if there's something bigger out there that they can be working toward. I think this call that Obama has made, and McCain made too, for working towards something bigger than yourself, and for a better country, I think that found real resonance among young people.
Okay, more of this to come. We're going to take another break here. Coming next, we're going to check back with our insiders, Mike Murphy and Harold Ford, plus Nora O'Donnell with some breaking news on the North Carolina Senate race and Elizabeth Dole tonight. One of the races we're going to follow very closely as we await the first results. Polls in 6 states closing at the top of the hour. We're back on MSNBC right after this.
MSNBC welcomes Channel News Asia to coverage of election night, Decision 08.
MSNBC's coverage of the 2008 presidential election is brought to you by Divided We Fail.
I was just out of college. I was living in New York City. I had everything in front of me, and then I got really sick. I started to see doctors, and I went to specialists, and it was that time they discovered I had Lyme disease. After a year of going through tests, my medical bills were about $50,000. If I had to do it all over again, I don't know what I would do differently. I had health insurance. I had good health insurance, is what I thought.
Oh, this is interesting. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Greg.
I think we have a little competition. What do you say we move forward with that new data center like we did with the LA office?
Sure, Greg. We can customize your Blade servers with the same software and security we discussed yesterday.
Right, so I just plug in and I'm good to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I call that? Sweet.
Turning new technology into your technology. CDW is there with the customized solutions you need.
Oh, look at this. Bring it on.
Picture trying to build a 50 billion bits per second network for 45,000 employees in an office building the size of a massive stadium that connects to the entire country, and building it all in under 2 months. And then you can picture the network Quest built for the Republican National Convention. Now picture what we can do for you, no matter the size of your business. Get Quest. Get nimble.
Women are learning that as we get older, it gets harder to build bone density with calcium and vitamin D alone. It's time to do more. And now we can. Introducing Citracal Plus Bone Density Builder, the first and only calcium supplement with genistein, an ingredient found naturally in soy that's proven to significantly build bone density, up to 5%. Switch to new Citracal Plus Bone Density Builder. It's made to do more.
Want better engine performance? Want better gas mileage? Do you want to save money? Try Lucas Fuel Treatment. It cleans your engine as you drive. It helps your fuel burn more thoroughly for increased performance and mileage. It also lubricates the upper cylinders. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
When did you start wearing makeup yourself?
About 12.
Leslie Blodgett on cue.
You know what? I wanted to be a dancer. Mom wasn't encouraging that.
Mom was encouraging?
She said, you know what? You're not that good. But it was my mom's idea for me to get into cosmetics. You swirl it, you tap, you buff. See, that is good footage.
Get a special one-day price on this new Bare Essentials collection, November 8th, only on QVC and QVC.com.
QVC, the place for politics.
It's a live look at our election plaza outside 30 Rockefeller Plaza here in New York. We're going to bring our insiders back in. Longtime Republican strategist Mike Murphy and former Democratic Congressman Harold Ford of Tennessee. Guys, let's get back to some of the basics of tonight as we get closer to poll closings around the country. We're still a ways off from being able to report some hard numbers yet, or let alone results. Mike, inside the McCain camp tonight, they're looking at a narrow path to victory if they achieve victory. What are you focused on tonight?
You know, I'm sorry, David, I had something in my ear that was blocking out your question. Inside the McCain headquarters?
Inside the McCain campaign, they're looking at a narrow victory map, if it's a victory map at all. What are you focused on as you await results?
You know, I'm looking at the red to blue stuff, which is going to be the decision maker in the Electoral College. And I'm looking at Virginia. Virginia goes red to blue. That's unfortunately a big problem for John McCain. It means he has to draw to a perfect inside straight on the red states, or almost all of them, and get lucky on a blue state somewhere. So what I'm going to be doing an hour from now is looking at Virginia. You know, we got some of this exit polling, but we don't really talk about that. It's not reliable this early. Look at early precincts in Florida and Ohio. Ohio closing, I believe, at 7:30. Part of Florida closing early. Those bellwether precincts to see what's going on there. If either one of those two states, or in North Carolina and Virginia, go badly for McCain, it's going to be a very long night. So it's Virginia and then one other state is going to be the first indication of strength or weakness, one of the other major swing states.
And Harold, in an important state like Pennsylvania, which McCain has made it a play for here as his offensive strategy, you can look at Philadelphia and you can look at those suburbs where George Bush lost in 2004 by nearly 500,000 votes. We're going to get an early indication, if McCain can't cut into that number significantly, just how he fares in Pennsylvania.
We will. We'll be able to look at not only the urban areas, but look at some of that western Pennsylvania area and see what kind of margins are there for McCain, if any at all. I think Mike's point about the Florida and Virginia, some of the key counties there will be very telling. I think the other state that I think that a lot of us are looking at around here, including Mike, is this Indiana. I think that will be a bellwether to get a sense of how the rest of the Midwest may fold. But I concur with the other insider here on looking at these certain numbers.
Yeah, Indiana will probably go for McCain, but there are a few counties there that the margins are a good demographic indicator. Up north, Mishawaka County, South Bend, some of the Democratic counties there, will he overperform? Will white Democrats be fine for him? And then some of the more Republican counties like in Elkhart or some of the rural counties, if Barack Obama overperforms there, he may not win Indiana, but it's an indication that he's getting some votes tonight.
Mike, one of the strategic decisions by the McCain campaign was to keep you out of the campaign. Had you gotten in the campaign, I am confident that they would have had a more, well, what's the word, debonair approach to this campaign, a more upbeat approach. Do you sense that the lack of Murphy's charm in this campaign has been a major deficiency?
No, not at all. I think consultants are kind of overrated. You know, I've been honking on all year about a kinder, gentler McCain campaign, but the last time we tried that, when I was there, we lost. I do believe this. I believe McCain had to have a strategy that attracted ticket splitters, or else in this year, it was a losing strategy. A base strategy can't work this year, and that's why I think a lot of the things, as much as I love John and I thought he was a tiger all year long, I felt for him. He's fighting right now in this campaign. Strategically, I'm not sure he had a strategy in the campaign that supported his brand to the utmost, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Chris, there are two reasons that the base thing didn't work. One, the leader of the base, George Bush, his numbers were so low, to just reaffirm his point. And two, Barack brought so many new voters to the fold, which I think the points that have been made tonight, I think that the new voter, the addition of new voters in so many key red states, at the end of the night, as we look at some of this data, and more people are going to the polls and we encourage everyone to vote, I think at the end of the night, that will be one of the most telling pieces or data points in this entire race.
Let's talk about your party for a second. I only have a minute here. Harold Ford, Congressman, I have to ask you something. The dog that hasn't barked, and I always like to think about the things that don't happen you think are going to happen. It seems to me that based upon what we've seen in these closing days of the campaign, and without even looking at any numbers tonight, which we don't really have yet, Hillary Clinton's role in the general election, starting with her rather dramatic departure from the campaign at the National Building Museum, where she had the full house that Saturday, and really had a dramatic close to her campaign. A bit late, I would argue, but she did it so well. And then giving that really positive speech in Denver, along with the former President Clinton's speech, I have a sense that she shut down the Puma movement pretty well, and that the people who were real Democrats who supported her in moving over to back Obama. What's your sense?
I think even if you ask, I would agree with you, even if you ask the Obama campaign, I think you will get pretty much widespread agreement or consensus that she went out of her way to be helpful to this campaign and came through on the things that she promised. Her and her husband in many ways. You have to think she helped in Pennsylvania. You have to think she helped in Florida. Don't get me wrong, the Obama plan and the execution were phenomenal in both of those places. But I contend the late race between Obama and Clinton aided Obama. Remember, McCain's race ended sometime in February or March. It was clear he'd be the nominee, and he was unable to do the things you needed to do to win this, to organize and to fortify his base and support in some of these key states.
I'd quickly just add this. I think Hillary was a trooper and made a difference, but Barack Obama did this by himself with a great staff. He'll go to Washington. If he wins, owing nobody.
Whoa.
Nobody in D.C.
Let's talk about that late tonight. That is a great question. I want to know, because I want to know about street money, Ed Rendell, all kinds of decisions on cabinet positions. I want to know what we really know by midnight if he is the winner, Barack Obama, tonight.
Chris,
I'd like to know if there were deals.
Is there any particular reason you're interested in Pennsylvania numbers? Because Mike and I can chomp them a little closer.
I am fascinated by that as an object lesson in modern politics, because I do think, now that I've got the floor, let me tell you, I do think Barack Obama, I'm not saying he's cleaner than other politicians or other Democrats, but he's different. Right. He's different. He doesn't like having his hands on street money. He doesn't like making cabinet deals. He doesn't like the old politics. He doesn't work with the committee chairs, the county chairs. He does it his way. I'm not saying it's better. In fact, it may offend me in many ways. but it is different, and we ought to take account of that tonight. And by the way, he's not super clean because he didn't take the federal money. He changed his mind on that. Let's keep clear about that.
No, he didn't. He didn't change his mind on that.
No, he didn't. I've read the document.
Politicians all my life. Don't believe them all, and don't believe everything they tell you.
All right, we got to get to a break here. Coming, we're going to have Governor Rendell, by the way, the next half hour, so we're going to be able to revive all this. We're going to check in with our correspondents next, covering the Obama and the McCain campaigns, plus the governor of a key battleground state, Ed Rendell of Pennsylvania. We're back with our discussion and debate right after this.
MSNBC's Decision 08 coverage is brought to you by Liberty Mutual, proud sponsor of Election Plaza.
Every day, millions of people choose to do the right thing. There's an insurance company that does that too. Responsibility. What's your policy? Liberty Mutual Insurance.
The all-new H3T, the most versatile Hummer ever.
What's essential to American life comes from people who work in American chemistry. AmericanChemistry.com. Essential.
2 weeks in Paris. Fully operational.
Ashton, car's here.
The new 12.3 megapixel Nikon D90, the world's first DSLR to shoot HD movie, bringing interchangeable Nikkor lenses to video.
Let that blow your mind.
For amazing possibilities, the D90 with live view.
Is that all you're bringing?
Undies.
It's everything you need. Also the new D700 with FX sensor.
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
It is your real hair. It's your natural hair. You wash it, you cut it, you swim with it.
Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration experts, having pioneered virtually every major advancement in the art and science of hair restoration.
I'm very satisfied, very happy with what I've done. This has got to be one of the best decisions I've made in my life, I'll tell you that.
Bosley Hair Restoration is a relatively simple outpatient procedure. The results look completely natural, and it's affordable on nearly any budget. Call the toll-free number now to receive your free, no-obligation information kit that will help you decide if hair restoration at Bosley is right for you. You don't have to accept going bald. Do something about it right now.
Call 1-800-982-7706. That's 1-800-982-7706. Call now.